Nice. Weather we had this morning, wasn't it?
Rain.
This afternoon?
We need some rain.
Man,
Yeah,
massive
we
bumper,
did.
eh?
The dogs went mental.
All right, okay, well, good evening, community board members, staff and members of the public, and welcome to this meeting of the Martinborough Community Board. It's great that we're back to face-to-face meetings, but just a reminder that Omicron is still very active in our community, and we want to protect the most vulnerable in our community, including our tamariki and our koe and kaumātua. We highly recommend that everyone wears their masks throughout the meeting. If you have a mask exemption or need to remove your mask for any reason, we request careful social distancing of 2 metres. We also encourage the use of the hand sanitizer at the door. I would just ask if people could take their masks off just while they're speaking, so that we can clearly get that on the YouTube as well as hear one another as well. The emergency exits for the town hall are clearly indicated. If we need to evacuate the building, use any of the emergency exits and head towards Texas Street. And assemble in the playground area. Please remain in the assembly area until the building has been confirmed clear. Now, this meeting is being held both in person and using audio-video technology. All members participating via audio-video conference count for the purpose of the meeting forum in accordance with Clause 25B of Schedule 7 to the Local Government Act 2002. The meeting is being live streamed to Council's YouTube channel. The meeting will also be recorded and, subject to the recording being of suitable quality, will be made available on Council's YouTube channel via a link on Council's website. Number one, extraordinary business. Is there any extraordinary business that needs to be added to the agenda? Okay, well, we'll move on to apologies. We have apologies from our youth representative, Alex Mason, and from Nathan Fairmont. Oh, yes, and Mayor Alex has also given apologies for attending tonight. So, I move that the apologies from Alex Mason, Nathan Fairmont, and from Alex Bayan, our mayor, be received. Do I have a seconder? Aidan, thank you. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Say aye. Yeah. Okay, well, the motion is carried. So does anyone have any conflicts of interest to declare with regards to any of the items on the agenda? Okay. Does anyone have any acknowledgements or tributes this evening?
I'd like to acknowledge someone from our district who worked here in Martinborough, Judy Burt, who passing away. It was, you know, she was just a face everybody knew from Payne and Kershaw's for so many years, and part of the Martinborough community as well, as such an active part of the Featherston community, and I know that she'll be missed by many right throughout our district. So,
I'd like to acknowledge Patrick Pedlow. Patrick recently passed away, but he was a member of some of the voluntary groups within Martinborough, and just pass on condolences to the family from us.
I'd also just like to acknowledge the passing of Selena Honey, and all of our condolences, and thank you, Michael, for this time as well.
Thank you.
Now we'll be moving on to public participation. Okay, and we do have 2 people participating this evening, which is Fire Sandy Namuki and Fire Teresa Dawson. They're going to be talking to us about COVID-19 home care kits. If we could just hold any member discussion until actions from public participation. The 5 minutes is for the speakers and the members' questions only. Great. Would you like to come up to that?
Oh, yes, the handouts there too are also, have been printed out at the end of your agenda packs, as part of my chair report.
Oh,
So it'll be the same information.
Thank you very much for allowing us to have 5 minutes of a window to speak about something, an initiative that we are very passionate about. And my own overview will go into more detail as to what concerns. Just to let you know, it concerns the Greytown area, Martinborough, as well as Featherstone. This talk we're going to give is concerning those communities as well as Martinborough. Kia ora.
Tua ke ai ki te mihi ati ki te tepe, tēnā koe e kōtiro, ko rua ko tō maho. Ki te tepe, tēnā koutou me koe hoki. Tēnā koe, korek tēnā. Kia ora. Ko e ahau, ko se ngau ki ahau, e noho ana hau I kai tūmo kai. Ka huri au ina ne ki te reo tau o tātou katoa hei whakamārama tia. Thank you so much for having us to the table. Thank you from us. Now, and that includes you, Mr. Mead. Tēnā koe. Thank you so much. My name is Sandy Ngāwaki and I live in Featherstone. Been there over 40 years, and however, we are both just two retired old ladies who have been woken up by this thing. Now, it came about, what you have there before you, the picture, came from, we belong to one of the marae of my couple, and it happened to be on the Facebook page, a conversation between two people. And they felt that it should go out to iwi to hapu for to be considered. Well, we were talking and Teresa said, no, it needs to go out to everybody ASAP. As a result, from it, we are now before you. Now, these packs, which we've been looking at, and what we did was, because there are things like Panadol and ibuprofen, those are scripted medicines. So rather than take it straight out to the people, what we did was we went to the doctors within each town. We also felt that we all know that Featherstone, Martinborough and Greytown are the poor relations of the North Wairarapa. So we thought, let's turn this on its head and just work with South Wairarapa. So, as I say, we went to the doctors and they totally, you have letters in those packs that we've linked to you from doctors, totally supporting all that is there. So we then thought, well, we really need to get it. We don't care the colour, creed or race. As far as we're concerned, with COVID, if he wants you, he's going to come and get you. And I don't care where you are, how rich or how poor you are, you know, and again, the colour, creed and race. So in doing so, we having gone to our 3 centres, Featherstone, Martinborough and Greytown medical centres, they each supported what is there. So from there, we decided, okay, time for it to go out to the people, but we need to lay the foundation and ensure that the foundation is correct. What we're doing things in steps so that the next target was the likes of yourselves, okay? Because you are the spokespeople of each individual township, this is something that we need for you to know about, and our goal tonight is to just seek endorsement for what we are proposing. We believe everybody is vulnerable, but by the same token, there are those who come in under the radar. And to us, they are the urgent vulnerable. You know, there are those within our outlying areas who cannot get to a doctor fast enough. It will also, and though for whatever reason, it could be because they can't afford the petrol to come into town to visit their doctors and things like that. So with this package, we aim to be able, because our focus is on the urgent first, for those of us who live in town, doctors just down the road. There are those, as I say, who come under the radar, and those who cannot get in for whatever reason. So you've got Toro way out there. How can they get in when someone gets hit? How can they get in to get the medication? So what it does then, it also takes the pressure off all three medical centres, because if they had a little pack within their own little homes, they'd just be able to ring up and say, hey, I've got it. How do I use these things? And so that's our rationale for wanting to get these packs out. We did also an exercise as to costs, and we worked it out that if each individual family had to go and buy a pack, and I'm only talking one pack, it would cost them about $146. We separated the packs so that there are those that can be given by ministry, and that's the masks and really, and the ibuprofen, the meds. And then we have the bits that each family could afford to pay. And on there you've got the Vicks, you've got the throaties, you've got other little things there. And then the oximeter was our biggest bugbear. The oximeter is the machine, if you don't already know, that actually monitors your oxygen levels. And just for one of those, it would cost $100. So that brings the whole cost for one family to have to pay $146. So in separating them, if you take out the oximeter of the $100, that would bring the price down. And working those through, we were looking at different agents within each of the three communities. For example, perhaps Featherston only needs 15 for its whole community, keeping in mind that each of the medical centres, they each had 10. And so if someone goes to them and says, I've got it, they can lend an oximeter out. So our thoughts are, if we were to get, say for example, instead of, I don't know your population, let's say your population is $2,800, $800. If we were to get just the oximeter per family, That's big bucks. So better to have agencies. Martinborough gets 15, say, 5 could be held perhaps at a school, 5 could be held right here. These are just examples. I'm not saying for you to go with this, but that's how we could have the agencies. Today we spoke with the principals cluster, subdivided up a principal clusters, and we suggested to them, because they're right in the know of who is really needing, and they're coming under the radar, that they perhaps may know of families who are either too proud, too shy to ask for help, that through the kids and their families, they can say, hey, look, these are what we've got. You know, so they could be schools, etc., could, because they're the bigger, same with churches, like for example, Salvation Army, Food Bank, all those areas that could perhaps say, yep, we'll house some of them. And because Food Bank in particular, they know those who are in need. And they will say, yep, these packs would be good for them because they don't have to find the means to purchase and things like that, and all set there. All right, so that's our main, and that's our goal, is to come to you for endorsing, to endorse what we were doing, what we are doing. And the reason for that is that when our foundation is solid, this being one of them, you being one of our foundations, we can then, when it comes time to raise funds for it, we can say this is a whole community thing. It's not just a couple of old ladies sparking up and waking everyone up because we want that. It's about community and all community. All right, so that's what we would like from you at this point in time, is to endorse it. You've got letters there, which we, of endorsements. So far, Greytown in writing has endorsed it, and the Mayor has verbally endorsed it and said that we would receive a letter from the Mayor's office. And so, you know, for us, that's a start, that's a big start. The principals are aware of the situation now, and they will, in their time, endorse it as well. Loretta Tefano, have you any questions? Okay.
Okay.
Kia ora, thanks for that, for your information and your presentation. After you've gathered endorsements from the people and the groups that you're speaking to, who will you be applying to for funding?
Well, as I've said at all other meetings, the funding will come because we're going out to the community. Already there are those who are wanting to sponsor, but we've put them on hold and says, wait, our foundation is like this. It's rocky, and until we get the full community, we will, and I say to them, we have faith in what we're doing. We know we're doing the right thing, so all those will come anyway. And there'll be people beating on our doors. How can we help?
Positive thinking.
Yeah, that's it. Very positive, and we are positive because we know. In fact, when I saw that, I was actually quite bilious in terms of we had the first pandemic, and that was, you know, nobody knew what they were doing. that was okay. So it was a learning curve for the ministry. They allowed all these packs, these beautiful packs to go out, and then the second wave came, the same things went out, minus the, minus the cleaning products. All right, minus the cleaning products, and I'm thinking 3 months down the line, you had time to work out. We're two people in a conversation, and that's one from the medical fraternity to just a Joe Bloggs talking. They'll come up with this, and then they're sending it to us Māori and say, get it out to the hut, get it out to the iwi. We could have done that. Teresa and I could have done that. And while we are steeped in marae tikanga, etc., our philosophy and our thoughts were, it belongs to the community. All right, and at this point in time, we have not, apart from Hauriki marae, we've actually not gone out to the other marae because we want full buy-in, and we don't want it said, oh, this is a Maori thing, you know, because it's not a Maori thing. Yes. And we don't, because there are two Māori fronting up with this, because the Ministry of Health didn't flipping will do it, you know, and hence, okay, like I said, we're just two interlopers into Wairarapa. We are both Tainui from Waikato. I've lived in Featherston. Rob and I have raised our family for over 40 years. That's how long we've lived in the community. And Teresa has been here about 19 years, and she and Wiremu are raising their family here in Martinborough. And as I say, and those of you who know Wiremu, he stands proud on the marae and things like that. And I know he's been through the Martinborough community, he's been through the Featherston community to support in any which way, both he and Teresa. All right? And so we have this thing about us. We're about community as a whole.
Sure.
And if anybody decided, oh no, we'll do this, but we're not doing it for them, we will have words for them.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. And so this evening, what you, if I'm hearing correctly, what you would like, as has happened from the other community boards that you've presented to, you'd like a letter of endorsement from the Martinborough Community Board in support of this pack. Kia ora. Yep. Kia ora.
Thank you.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, thank you very much.
We'll just grab our packs back, that's all right.
Well, because we will actually agenda items, we'll discuss it if you want to wait. You can wait just while we discuss it if you like, because you know it won't take long.
All of endorsing it.
Yeah.
Well, so,
Yeah.
so the actions from participation, so is it, how does, would everyone in favour of endorsing the process, please? To write a letter? Write a letter of endorsement?
Yeah.
With,
And support.
yeah, and support. My proposal, do I have a seconder for that motion? Thank you very
The whole
much,
table.
everybody.
Could I make a suggestion on that endorsement? Perhaps we could mention that we do the crowdfunding. When that time comes, then more than happy to receive an
And also be mindful that TPACs are going out free.
Yeah, there won't be any charge
They're
for
going out
families.
free at no cost to them.
It's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
Congratulations to the two of you for picking this up and running with it.
Thank
It's
you.
fantastic.
yeah, they're amazing.
Amazing work. Thank you so much. And we'll get a letter out to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Little meaty photo. Oh.
Bye.
Kia ora.
Oh, Marty. Bye. Would just like to say too that one of the other things too is that they have had a lot of people just in their conversations come forward with offering those things, like, so
They want
I want to provide RAT tests as part of it, and things as well, so it's great. Right, so we will now then be considering the minutes from the 7th of April, 2022. Did anyone have any corrections for the minutes? Okay.
Oh, so just to note that we have been advised that the road that we were asked to name, and, Western Lake does belong to Featherston. So that's,
That's not our fault.
no, but just, we didn't. We didn't
Step
slip
on that-
through,
we didn't
and it
step
turns
on
out it
that
wasn't
toes.
ours. But no, that looks fine.
I'm happy to move those minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you very much, Councillor Hensley. Do I have a seconder? Thank you very much, Michael. All those in favour, please raise your
Aye.
hand. Say aye.
Aye.
All the motion is carried. Okay, so normally we would do decision reports from the Chief Executive and staff, but we don't have any decision reports for tonight. So we have some information reports from the Chief Executive and staff, with the first being agenda item 9.1, the income and expenditure report. Do I have a mover to receive the draft income and expenditure statement for the period ending 31 March 2022? Thank you,
Yep.
Councillor Maynard. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Aidan. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Right.
Okay. Motion is carried. Now, actually, did anyone want to discuss the income and expenditure statement, or shall we? Yeah, at the same time, actually, I might just say,
Good to see those amendments that we made last
Yes.
time in action. That makes it a lot easier to I chased them up for you.
thank you so much for that.
Great.
Okay.
So, do I have a mover then to receive the Pain Farm statement of financial performance for the period ending 31 March 2021? Thank you, Councillor Glenzo. And do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Maynard. All those in favour, please raise your hand or say one.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion is carried. Now, any questions on either of these reports? Sorry, any questions about the Pain Farm financial statement?
No.
Great. Then we'll now move on to item 9.2, the action items report. Do I have a mover to receive the report? Thank you, councillor Maynard. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Aidan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those, the motion is carried. Now, members, did anyone have any updates or questions that they'd like to ask in relation to the open action items?
We've had on for a wee while action 727, which is to consider a list of road names for use in the Martinborough Board.
Say that again, what's that?
Number 727. And that was for the community board to get together to sort out a list of names. Could I suggest that we have a workshop and get that perhaps underway to bring, so we can bring that to our next meeting? It's dated the 17th of December. So have you got it on there, Madam Chair? Can you see it? Okay.
And
So if we come down to
727. Yeah.
so
727. It's all right. It's also a list of road names.
Oh, yeah,
For the Martinborough Ward.
okay. So, okay, got
It's
it.
here now.
I've got it. Okay.
To consider putting forward a list of road names for use in the Martinborough Ward.
Okay.
I just thought it would be quite nice to have it done before the end of the
Yeah,
financial
yeah,
year, so
yeah.
that the planning and reg have something to work to.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea.
Maybe before we go tonight, we can sort out a date to sit down and get together on that.
Yeah, sure. Did you want to have it on now or do you want to?
I think that we'll
We'll do it
do a
offline.
workshop.
Yeah, I think so.
Chance.
No, don't take way too long to start trying to delve into anything right now. But the other one, so we're just waiting, I guess, on a report for potential sites for the community garden for 429.
Stefan may be able to answer.
Yeah.
It's on there now.
Oh, yeah, hi, Stefan. Hi. I was just querying when at the last Martinborough Community Board meeting, there was just a report requested for potential sites for the community garden. Under action 429.
We talked about it last time.
Let's look at what reopened.
I think we've
because-
talked about it lots of times. We haven't talked about it just once.
Sorry, that action I've got as your 429 I've got as your action. Was there something for council to do on that?
Yeah, looking for the land for potential sites.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. And so council's been charged with scoping out potential sites for
so what
for a community garden. I wasn't aware of that.
But one actually exists, they just need some sort of security where they can actually end up without being evicted eventually. at
Yeah,
some
so-
stage.
Stefan, do you know about our community garden in Martinborough?
No, I don't. I must say this is the first time this action has come to my attention. Sorry if I've missed anything.
Okay, so let me fill you in a little bit and the others can jump in if I go wrong. At the moment, we have a group of community members who have started a community garden which is on private land at the moment. What they would like to do is move from that particular site that they're on at the moment to be able to expand the garden and to and to be able to make it more accessible, I think, for people to come to them and help and to receive the vegetables and things that they grow. At the moment, they put the excess into the medical centre, into the community fridge and things like that, which is held in the medical centre, but they would just like to expand and be off privately owned land if at all possible. So we've looked at a couple of sites, but they haven't been ideal, and so we were wondering whether there was anything that you and your team could think of that could maybe be presented through the community board to the garden committee.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that back. So you're looking for a section of public land to locate a community garden on?
That's my understanding, yes.
Yeah, at the moment, it's on privately owned land. That's not,
It's risky for them.
that means that at any time, if it was sold, they would lose where they are. So.
So this action started a couple of years ago, but they've been around for quite a while, the community garden, but because they know that where they are has to be temporary, all their gardens are actually built up like gardens that they can move. So they've tried to make most of their beds movable as well, so that would be able to come.
They just want some security.
Yeah.
And I'm sure out there must be a piece of land they can use. There's lots of paper roads apparently.
Well, they were looking originally, they were looking behind the pensioner housing at Cicely Martin Flats, but council's needs changed because they
With social
will be
housing.
looking at potentially extending into that site with social housing.
But I also think the community garden said that wasn't secure enough for them.
They needed a shed put on there.
So I thought of maybe some of the land behind the cemetery, the one in Puratonga Road. There's the big section that we've got there that we can expand the cemetery into it at a later date, but that part of that might be suitable. But apart from that, that was the only place that I'd come up with at this point in time. But I don't know whether there's paper roads somewhere or bits and pieces like that could maybe be offered. But ideally within the urban area of Martinborough.
I think there is a paper road. There's one down by you.
They do a wonderful job. They do a wonderful job for the community.
Paper roads.
Yeah, so there are paper
Up
roads.
to there's lots of paper roads.
There is lots of
Paper roads, yeah. Could work.
Let me take that back to Bryce and see, what the availability of a sort of 1,000 square metre section of land that will be suitable for a garden, with it preferably within the urban area. Let me just see what the options are. I don't know about using paper roads as community gardens. I'll put that in the mix as well.
Okay, thank you.
And could the area perhaps look that they would have the ability to put a water tank in there for watering the garden during the summer, and maybe a shed for storage of some of their equipment, the gardening equipment. So so apart from the garden, they'll need somewhere to store the implements and things like that they use. So we just might as well add everything in right at the beginning than looking for something that maybe won't house both of those things as well.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Anything else? The other one, 497 Mel, the Martinborough town sign entrance. Welcome sign.
Oh, yeah, no, that's still ongoing. That's ongoing. But it's across the three towns too. So Greytown and Featherston, none of us have any town signs at the moment. So this is work that's ongoing work, it's relationship there.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay.
Might be quite nice, if the three community boards got together and maybe looked at what sort of signs they were having in town, like Featherston had some that unfortunately had to be taken down. But I think they're in the process of putting them up, and if we all had not the same, but made out of the same material.
Yeah,
Signs
it's a cost.
each of the towns, but made out of the same material, so that you're actually encompassing the South Wairarapa.
Yeah.
Who would pay for the signs?
I think Featherston had quite a lot of community support in there, and they put in money from the community board and from their beautification fund and things like that to actually, and that as a project. And
I think it's fit nicely in the beautification fund too.
Can we add that to the workshop?
Yeah, when we're talking about road names.
Yeah. Thanks.
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
Stefan, at our last meeting, we talked, and it's recorded in our minutes, we talked about action 626, and we requested that it be reopened, and that the action item 626 was a request through the CE on a timeline for a report on the flooding risks for all South Wairarapa campgrounds. So at our last meeting on the 7th of April, we asked that to be reopened. Just wondering if there was any progress on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it has been reopened, but there isn't any progress on the report.
Okay. No, that's fine. They just for the Martinborough Community Board, more so than Greytown or Featherston. Of course, it's just this affects Martinborough, the camping grounds and places for camping, mainly in the Martinborough ward, with a few sites in Featherston, but mainly in the Martinborough ward, and so that's why, especially the coastal reserves, obviously, and so that's why it was just asked, so that Martinborough Community Board is just wanting, when it is picked up, and you are looking into the camping bylaws review, and when the policy reviews are all being done, just that any updates that happen, that Martinborough Community Board is involved, or just is made aware, if you like, so that way they're not caught at the end of something.
Yeah, no, understood. When it gets to policy review, we'll definitely consult with you.
Awesome, thanks, Stefan.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
And then
I just have one question on number 38. It says here the rates arrears report is provided and is available for Martinborough Community Board in this officer's report. This officer's report that we've got goes to back to January and stops at January. So we haven't got an updated report, but we'll see that when we come through to the thing. But but it's been closed, the action's closed, but the information hasn't come through. So I just wanted.
that's right. So we've asked for that to be reopened.
Yeah, and it's been closed again, which is fine, but it needs the the information provided in your reports hasn't been updated. It only goes to the end of January. So you haven't received anything through from them.
Well, it says on the rates arrears on page 101, it says this report was presented to the Finance Audit and Risk Committee on the 1st of December 2022.
Which hasn't ever been.
So surely there's been a
2022, December 22 hasn't even been.
No, but you're right though, because it does only speak to January. It says
But
it's
surely
January.
there's been a FAR committee since January?
Yes. Nathan had queried it, and I'm just aware with Nathan not being here, which is why I've raised it instead, is because I know Nathan is the one that normally likes to keep an oversight of it, so. So because the action was reopened at the request of the Martinborough Community Board, and then it was shut again. And yet the information that's been provided hasn't been updated.
Are we able just to ask for that to please be reopened? Can we get that reopened?
Should it be reopened? Should it be reopened, or can we, should it just be, we'd just like, all we want is to know and have it tracking at the right time. And somehow it's gone back to the start of the year when we're in May.
So I believe the officer's report is probably just an error in terms of what it is with the rates arrears. I think this action, my understanding when I spoke with finance was that they just don't have the capacity to put forth a separate rates arrears report to the community boards.
But so you're saying that this is the one, is this the one that came to council as well? So council's getting information from January and we haven't been advised? Because the reports that we get in all of our meetings should be as up to date as possible. And if this is, so this report should be the same.
As far.
And it's gone back. It's gone back to the start of January, to January. So I just.
I think we're, if I may, I think we're going round in circles on this issue, and the action is being reopened by Martinborough Community Board, who want tailored information on rates arrears, and then it's being closed by officers because we're asking for you to just refer to the information that is being given to council committees. So, I mean, the information is given to FAR, and I think that's where Martinborough Community Board can go to get information on rates arrears. Finance isn't in a position to provide separate information to you on rates arrears. So I think there's just, we seem to be, I don't know what's happening, but we're going around in circles a bit.
Sorry, Stephen. No, what we're asking for is just the same information that is being received at the FAR committee and things. So we're not asking.
Yeah, but that's on the website.
Information.
It's on the website. You can get that. It's public information.
Yes, but what
I'm sorry. I thought that this was actually an elected members board where we would be entitled to ask for a report and to receive that without it just being closed. And yeah, but that's okay. So we should, it's going to be really important, I think, guys, moving forward, if that's the case, that we keep an eye on all of those things. Okay. Let me just have a look. So did anyone else have any comments then on any of the action items report? Okay, well then we'll move on to the Eco Reef Cape Palliser Road report.
We were doing the officers report, not the action items report.
Yeah, we'd already done that.
We've done the action items. We were actually on the officers report, which was 10.4 or 9.4.
I think that discussion came out of an action item. So then it should be, you can do, the Eco Reef and then the officers report.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
just jumped ahead.
No, sorry, we were jumping.
It's looking for that. That's right. So could I, so the Eco Reef.
Sorry, can I just provide a little bit of clarification? I'm just looking back. So looks like the most recent FAR meeting was on the 11th of May, which provided an update from March 2022. That information obviously was not provided to you as your agenda was already out. So the information that you're receiving on the rates arrears was from the FAR meeting previous to that, which was the 30th of March, 2022. And that information was about the arrears of January 2022, which is outlined there. So it's not a matter of receiving out-to-date information. It's a matter of the meeting schedule and legislative guidelines, which necessitate that your agenda is released prior to the FAR meeting, which means that you are one meeting behind in the rates arrears. Does that help provide clarification?
Yeah, it totally does. So the best thing to do then,
So
in
if you're
that
looking
instance.
For the most up-to-date information, it would be going to the FAR agenda pack, and all of the information that's provided in the officer's report is there.
To get more up-to-date
Which
information.
would be for the meeting that had just occurred. Unfortunately, just with the timing, it needs to be the previous meeting. So hopefully that provides some clarification.
So this is something we're going to bump up against every time, then, is it?
Just because of the meeting cycle, 6 weekly, so the
So when everyone moved into the 6 weekly cycle, it pushed the Martinborough Community Board, who are on a 6 weekly cycle, outside of it.
Those who
No.
come to the 8 weeks.
No, because of where it sits and the meeting is earlier, what you'll find is because everyone's now gone back to 6 weeks, there are certain reports that are going to be coming out at a time of which isn't going to fit with what the report that you've got. So your report's not going to be as up to date, which means that you will need to go in and have a look at these things that do concern you with regards to any of that, just or that you want to have clarification on. You'll need to go back to the actual reports of that meeting. And if you're not sure which meeting, just ask.
This is really important though, too, I think.
But the officers will be able to let you know which, like, because we do have, we have different subcommittees, so it's knowing which subcommittee to actually go and have a look at their agenda packs as well.
So you do have a schedule of council meetings as well as community board meetings. You know, that at the beginning of the each year they.
Oh, the one that we get printed out, the one that we get printed
So
out.
maybe,
I can send that out.
Amy, you could give you a copy of that, so therefore you can work out when that meeting was.
And the new updated one that has everyone where they sit on the 6 weekly cycle, because the one of the trade has changed quite significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you'll be able to look everything up. Oh, sorry, then you'll be able to look everything up.
To be able to.
Yeah.
No, perfect.
So can I just clarify then, what you were wanting done with that open action?
No, it's been closed again, so it's not open.
Right, so, okay.
That's what we're-
But we were asking why it had been closed, because that information was really important to,
Okay, so
we needed to stay on top of it.
absolutely. So did you want it reopened again, or now that there's clarification?
Now we know where to go and find the information, because the information won't make it into this pack.
No,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we need to know,
Okay.
yeah, but now we know where to get the
Okay.
updated information, we can bring that.
But we won't be able to discuss it at our table because it's not on our agenda.
Yes, you will, because you will have the previous one in your agenda. So therefore, any new information, you can disseminate that out as part of that report. So you can say, this is what we've got in our report, but these are the latest figures on that particular.
Okay.
Which have gone through the farm managing or assets and services or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Planning and regulatory.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. I think it was the staff section.
Yeah.
So our meeting agenda came out on Friday last week. Which was the 14th, and FAR's meeting was on Wednesday the 11th, and their agenda would have come out prior to that.
so we're not able to report anything from that agenda until that meeting has taken place. And for me to be able to get the agenda out and reviewed by both the chair and Mr. Wilson, it does require a few days. So we have the items would be due, the 9th. which means the agenda needs to be compiled by then. It then needs to go to Mr. Wilson so that he has it for the 10th, and then Mel has it as well. And then once that's okay, then it goes out to the board and then public distribution. So
Lots of.
there is a bit of a process. So unfortunately, I don't think that the turnaround time
Just going to fit.
it's just too tricky.
Yeah, it's just too tricky.
Okay, no, thanks.
It's good. I feel like there's been lots of, clarification.
Yes.
Clarification. No, seriously, it's right, because we want to work together really well anyway. So that's-
And I don't think we can change the date of our meeting to give us time to get that, because then our meeting would be out of sync with what goes to council.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and it's important that what we discuss goes to council for other councillors to
Yes.
read and understand or ask questions.
Okay. So then we'll move on to item 9.3, the eco reef at Cape Council Road. Report. Do I have a mover to receive the eco reef report? Thank you very much, Councillor Cleanzo. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Aidan. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Great, the motion is carried. Members, were there any questions on the eco reef?
I certainly haven't got, unless Stephen wants to say anything, I haven't got any questions, but I do want to say I think it's a fantastic initiative.
Yeah.
And it's been lovely that it's a partnership in this with the people who make the eco itself, parts of that, and I think it's wonderful for our coastal road, and certainly it's just a shame that it wasn't at Turners Bay before the last side of Turners Bay Road fell into the sea.
Yeah. It is really amazing work. I completely agree. Yeah, congratulations. That's a really great piece of work and inclusive. Yeah, inclusive. It's really inclusive, and you can see how many partners there were involved in it. And I think that speaks to its success as well. And fingers crossed, the only hold up has just been getting workers, like being able to finish off stage 2 or 3. So yeah. Okay, well, did anyone have any other questions or comments about the report? Okay, we'll move on to the officer's report. Do I have a mover to receive the officer's report? Thank you, Councillor Maynard. And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Michael. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Okay, the motion is carried. So, members, were there any questions on the officer's report?
Stephen, to highlight.
Yeah, Stephen, do you want to highlight anything in the report? Oh, sorry.
Are you taking them in sequence? The first one is the Planning and Environment group, which I think Rick is here to speak to. I could speak to the water and amenities reports if that's useful.
Definitely. Shall we start with Rick? We'll start at the beginning and then Rick's here.
I wasn't actually planning to say anything at all.
Sorry, Rick.
You got heaps of kudos because your name was really big because you didn't have your picture. You weren't on your because your camera wasn't on, so all she could read was Rick Mead. So that's why she keeps saying kia ora, Rick Mead.
I'll take the kudos on that one. So I'll have a crack and see if I can go through this. Susie Russell's thing. I think if we sum it up as basically the 3 areas, planning, building and ourselves in terms of environmental services, are still going through the process of consents that are coming in, and that workload's continuing at a steady pace. All 3 teams I know of had to deal with recently the COVID-19 pandemic, and that it's hit our teams in terms of staff, and the remaining staff members have done an outstanding job to keep the levels of services up in those 3 areas. I'm not really going to speak on the spatial plan or the master plan. I think I wouldn't do the service of that, so I'll take that as members have read that. And if you do have questions, it's either probably best to direct that to James or Russell in terms of that. There's the ongoing requirement of the pound. The most up-to-date information I can give in regards to that is we've selected a site and are currently going through the arduous task of trying to get up-to-date costings. So one of the big things that's come around is obviously the pandemic, which shut down many of the borders, and supply lines have been an issue. Now, subsequent to that, we have the Ukraine-Russia situation, which you wouldn't think would affect us much, but part of that is there's a worldwide shortage of zinc. So when you're talking about galvanizing steel and steel works, that has a direct impact on what we're doing, and we're seeing that through the potential costings that are coming out. Plus, the other obvious thing is we're facing an inflation situation, and so many things that you're constructing at the moment is costing everyone more, and therefore what the construction industry or suppliers are doing is they are being very cautious in regards to what costings they are giving, because they can't guarantee that in the next month they will change. So we're finding that quite challenging. There is a map which shows where we've looked at a location. So that's the old former Featherston Golf Course. And it's, if you're looking at the picture, it's to the right of what used to be the greenkeepers sheds. And so we're looking at I think it's a 40 by 30 sort of compound area where we will look at putting the mobile units or containers in there with a extensive exercise yard. We want to maintain the tree in the middle, mainly for 2 reasons: aesthetics, but also it gives us a natural shade for any of the dogs as well. Plus, I think it just looks good.
Nice tree. nice tree.
And then that's sort of it, really. The statistics itself, you'll obviously have read. And then, yeah, it's any questions sort of from there.
Rick, I think that through you, Madam Chair, I think we empathise and sympathise with you as you try and get your costings down. We all know somebody that's trying to do building or renovations and things at the moment, and how difficult that is. So this is a new concept, and so it'll probably make it doubly hard. So we're glad you're sticking at it.
Oh, I'm liking this crowd. I think it's over to you, Stefan.
Chair, with permission, I'll move to the water report.
Yeah, so this is from page 52, guys, of the agenda.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so this in this period we were fairly busy with some reactive repair. So the The burst water mains on Bullbush Gully Road were repaired. They actually burst twice, and with some effect on residents, but Wellington Water responded quickly to those, so we were happy with the response. The repair of the Bullbush concrete reservoir is done, which is going to sort of put some resilience back into the system up there, which is great. It's back in service. The Tauhara River water river pipeline repair is done. It wasn't actually reported as done in this report, but the latest information is that the repair is complete, the temporary repair, and that's a relief because every time it's rained, we were all very tense about the implication of that on the pipe, given it's a critical piece of infrastructure that supplies water to Featherston. The smart meter trial is going well. That trial runs to the end of the year, but there was some preliminary data shared with the Assets and Services Committee. It's already detecting leaks on the private land side, which is very helpful in terms of water conservation. And obviously it also encourages people to use less water, which is fantastic. We all need to be doing that. And then 2 papers were presented to Assets and Services. One was on the Featherston wastewater treatment plant consent, and I encourage members to read that report if you haven't already. You probably have. And there was a presentation on stock exclusion rules and water races, which is being run by the Regional Council, and the regulator attended to give people up-to-date information. Just on that, I just would let members know that tonight I circulated some information that I received very recently from David Boone at the Greater Wellington Regional Council. It's public collateral that explains the stock exclusion rules, not in relation to water races per se, but to all landowners, and it's quite good. I mean, it's very clear, and it's the start of their comms rollout, and it also includes some information on where landowners and land users can go to ask further questions about the impact of the new rules on their land. Thank you.
Through you, Chair.
Yeah, Ada?
Trying to find, so I made a note on paper copy, trying to work out what page it is on.
CapEx one, it's on page 27 on here, so.
Which one?
So I've got page 16.
So it's under the South Wairaka major projects for Wellington Water, and it's the 3rd page down on that. It's the one that's all bound in white and green.
So I've got page, in the agenda, page 60. So it starts March 2022, SWDC PMO CapEx program update. Information is at 29 March 2022. And I'll just monthly updates of significance, construction completed. Stefan, it's got Lake Ferry drip lines renewal for the wastewater. Was that, from memory, that was caused by the forestry contractors, I understand? Are they paying for the renewal or the repairs? Or is council footing that bill?
Now, look, there was a long conversation about this. In fact, there's been a couple of different conversations about this in assets and services between council and Councillor Garrick Eames, and there have been several requests for further information on this from Wellington Water, and it got quite complicated. I can't answer that immediately, but what I can do, Aidan, is I can provide you with all of the answers, written answers that were given to Councillor Eames, which hopefully would answer your questions, and then we could go from there.
Okay, thanks. So I was just wondering if that was something that, had been caused by a third party and not involving, council. If we were able to, if council was able to recover the costs of those repairs, that would be beneficial to council and ratepayers, was my view.
I'll undertake to provide you with all of that information. There's quite a lot of it. It's quite detailed, so I hope it will answer those questions for you.
Thank you.
Stephen, can I ask, was that just provided to Garrick, or has that gone out to everybody, all councillors?
I think that there's a combination of information. That this has been discussed several times in a public forum with assets and services, and there's also email traffic on it. And I'll just check whether it was sent to all councillors or not. But all of it is public. All of it is available. So everything I've got, I'll send through, and perhaps I'll. Would it be good practice for me to copy everybody in the Martinborough Community Board in?
Yeah.
That'd be great. And yeah, I think.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay with the water slide? Did anyone else have any questions around the water? Yeah.
A bit of a headache with Featherston wastewater, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think everything to do with water might be a headache to Stephen. Per se.
I don't know if any of the members of this board attended the Assets and Services Committee meeting, but the presentation that was made by Linda Fairbrother, who's the project lead at Wellington Water, was pretty good, and they also had a video of the pilot trial that we're an MBBR trial that we're running on site, which is being run by Simon Cartwright, who might be known to some of you. He was instrumental in building the manganese plant, and the information was good. It's encouraging to see a bit of momentum on that site as we try and explore what is possible on that site. And the trial is providing data on, what beneficial output effect can be achieved using the MBBR technology, which is a kind of bioreactor technology. And if that trial shows us that significant impact can be had, so we can achieve a good level of treatment, then the next step is to see whether that can be scaled to a size on the site which would be useful. And so there's some progress being made in relation to what kind of technology can be used and what kind of actions can be taken to improve the output on the site. Then, of course, the more tricky question of how it's disposed is still there, and can it be of a sufficient quality to be disposed into water? And should that run through another medium, like a wetland or another kind of interface? And can it be disposed to land? Does the land support disposal there or not? All of those things are being looked at, but they're all under the microscope at the moment with the Wellington Water team, and the presentation sort of gave a flavour of that and is worth a look.
So is that available, Stephen, can I ask, is that available on the YouTube of the Assets and Services meeting?
Yes, it is. Yep.
Unfortunately, couldn't go to that meeting. I had an apology for it. So. Yeah.
And there's the written report in your pack there, which is good too. But I do think it's worth looking at the presentation as well.
Thank you.
So through you, Madam Chair. Sorry, Stefan, you've another question. So the learnings and the process everyone is working through with Featherston, would it be feasible to say that whatever is successful in Featherston, could the lessons be learned and could that be implemented for when the work starts on the Martinborough sewage treatment program?
I think all of the wastewater treatment plants in this region, our region, suffer from very similar deficiencies. They lack there's often inundation problems, so there's more volume than there should be. They lack some basic infrastructure, like they don't have screening gates, that screen off large items. There's quite a lot of sludge in the ponds, which just means they're not effective. Once they get sort of within a metre of the top, they start to really diminish in efficiency. And then there's this consistent problem of how we deal with nitrates in the process. And so I think the answer is yes, definitely. If the MBBR, if that bioreactor shows real promise, and then it can, that learning will be spread across other wastewater treatment plants if they've got a similar need. So yeah, it's the answer is yes.
Thanks. It'd just be good to see that once all this work has gone in over at Featherston, and then the work commences over here at Martinborough, the wheel isn't tried to be reinvented, if possible.
Yep, agree with that.
Thanks.
So moving on into the roading and amenities portion of the report. Starts on page 84. Can I say first to Stephen, thank you so much for the time you have put aside for the Martinborough Community Board. Really appreciated the meeting that we had with you guys. It was great. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you to those who participated. I think we should do that regularly. We got a lot out of it as well, and I think just understanding one another's priorities and how we're doing business, there's real benefit in that. So we enjoyed that meeting as well. Thanks. The roading and amenities report. I think the thing to note here is that there are still some significant impediments to us delivering on time and on budget here. COVID is still, I think, a lot of people think we've turned the corner on COVID, and we may have, but it is still really affecting our workforce. Fulton Hogan were I think 8 people down out of a team of 12 recently, and it's just hard to do anything without people on machines. We also have the supply chain delays to materials is real, and it's getting worse, and price increases, partially as a consequence of that disruption to supply, but also due to other factors, is also pricing us up, and creating competition and creating more delay as people buy and stockpile. So it's tough at the moment on the roading and amenities side, and the teams are feeling that pinch. So I think it's just good to be aware of the environment that we're working in. That said, we have got some stuff done. Hinakura is still open to all traffic. Cross your fingers. That's another site that I worry about every time there's heavy rain. But that rebuild that we did pre-Christmas is still there, and we've just issued an update on Hinakura Road to residents and the public. There's real progress being made on that site as we fence and plant and ensure water is going in the right places and is drained away properly, and we look into the right location for the dam. So I'm happy with Hinakura. Look, other than that, the main outputs for that period were just BAU really, just sealing and roading, and quite a lot of work done on the sides of the roads at this time of year, where we're cutting and using high cuts and increasing visibility on the roads. Yep, I think I might leave it there and take any questions.
Okay, Councillor Kingsbury.
Through you, Madam Chair. Stephen, one of the things I've noticed around town is there's a lot of leaves forming in the gutters and things like that. Do you know when the next cleaning vehicle's supposed to come around to clear all that out? Because otherwise, when we have heavy rain, we're going to get our flooding on our corners and things like that again. So when's the street cleaner due back round, do you know?
They suck out the drains.
Both clean the gutters and suck out the drains, yeah, that's right.
It's that time of year, isn't it? No, I don't know, but I will ask Mr. Langley that question when I see him tomorrow, and I'll back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe I could do that by email rather than it being an action, if that's all right.
Yeah, sounds great. Lovely. Thank you. Aidan.
Through you, Chair. Stefan, I'd just like to make a comment. Early last week, I logged a couple of, roading faults on the Get It Sorted portal on the council's website. And by the end of the week, I had Ben ringing me up and letting me know that he had been out and looked at both problems and identified them as issues and had taken action to get the various the two contractors involved and those different contractors involved in those two issues to address them. So that was great to see that Ben was onto it, on top of no doubt everything else that he's got going for his normal day-to-day business. Thanks.
It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. I'll make sure I pass that back to the team.
Thanks.
Anyone else have any questions? In the room and officer's report?
I just find that it's good to see that the recycling pods are working really well. So yeah, just if you can, I think that was Bryce's baby, wasn't it? And It's just really cool to see. This is quite a neat little report that's here. They're just telling us about the recycling, because I know I've watched Michael go and use it, walk over and use it, and like it's the fact that we've got the option of being able, to have the recycling pods here in town, but also that they're out in the coastal areas and stuff, and it's just making a huge difference, especially to our coastal line. That's so cool.
Thanks. And I think the finance one, which we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Did anyone have any more questions at all on the officer's report?
No.
That's awesome. Well, thank you all very much for your time. I really appreciate that, Stephen and Rick, you both coming in the information. Yeah, it's been great. So now then we'll move on to agenda item 1, the chair's report. Do I have a mover to receive the report? Thank you, Aidan. And do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Maynard. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Right. Okay, and the motion is carried. So, did anyone have any questions for me on the chair report?
Yeah, it's a really good report, and like the little photos, and but so it is quite funny, like just the really small signs that have been missed. Like, yeah,
Featherston Cemetery.
yeah, with the cemetery, there's one right there, and then just behind it, there's still the old one, like just with another little sign. It's like,
yeah, but
so it's very timely.
and we had a beautiful Anzac ceremony here in Martinborough on Anzac Day. So and there was a lot of really positive comments too. I think we've always had the dawn parade, and this one being at sort of 10:30, I think it was 10:30, and on Anzac Day, and yeah, we got a lot of really positive comments about the flags as well. Heaps of people not joining
Really
the
nice.
flags to Anzac Day, so that was really really great too. Yeah, so the Martinborough Fair went well, and Rotary again are to be commended on how quickly and responsibly they bring everything back to its natural state here in Martinborough after the invasion.
I'd just like to add that it was pleasing to see the state of the grass within the square, with the fair actually being delayed and later. So there was more moisture around the grass, recovered really, really quickly compared to having those fairs in February and March, when it does get so dry and then it gets so dusty. There was next to no evidence within a few days after the fact, because
Yeah, it was great.
it's so green.
More damage done last Friday than there was at the fair.
What was last Friday?
Was that when that was
On a Saturday night, isn't
Saturday night?
it? Yeah,
Okay,
Weekend
something else.
before.
they've all been reported to the police. It's all going to go ahead.
Right.
But I think with the fair this time, there was a little bit more space between the stalls, and it was
Yes.
lovely to see people sitting on the grass where there was room and having their picnic lunch or their coffee or whatever. It's just really lovely to see that.
A lot of the central seating as well was being really utilised as well by the participants of the fair. So all our listeners. I'm just going to touch on the Wharekākā Rest Home too, and the Wharekākā Trust. So just so that everyone is aware that they are Meals on Wheels continues with no break-in service or anything, continues to support the entire South Wairarapa. So and as we know, that's such a big issue, and I think something I could certainly identify, but that really came through from so many of the people at the meeting that we attended last week, was how big an issue loneliness is for our elderly here in Martinborough. Great news though that they have started day activities. So I've just asked them that once they get those days locked in and secured, that they can share them with us and we can share them out as quickly as possible as well. So share this with any residents that you know.
Not just on the Martinborough staff, it'd be good to put on Martinborough.
Yeah, I'm sure they normally do a whakaka piece, or don't they notice in the staff? So.
I don't know.
Yeah, they do, so it'd be nice to see them continue with that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things I had that I said to them as well was just with them having the Meals on Wheels actually gives them an in to just pop something in there saying we're holding these things on these days, and that might get a wider audience in that group. People might be able to be brought over from great healthy business. So it's just something. That just touches on the meeting that we had with Tim and Stephen, and which again was really beneficial, because I think it's good for us to have that insight on how things work on both sides as well, and that's why it's really great to know what pressures everyone's having on them over and above COVID. I mean, we all knew used to just be budgets and things like that, now it's COVID. So it leads into my topic number 6 of the COVID home care kits, which we've already talked about this evening, and have sent that. They're going to send a letter through to Sandy and Teresa. Was there any update at all, Stephen, about the 3 waters?
Can I speak to this if that's okay? So yesterday at the council meeting, there was actually there has been an update. Harry presented us with some information, and we asked for it to go onto the website because it was very, very clear and concise. That is a little bit easier to actually absorb, and so that should be going onto the SWDC website. So it wouldn't hurt to perhaps, if you go on, maybe Aidan, if you have a look at that and just put it onto the community board page as well. I think it's really important to get it out there to as many of our public as we can.
So 3 waters update from yesterday's council meeting. 18th. Okay.
Because
so that's just that's an individual report, is it? Attached to the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'll dig that up.
Maybe I'll have a look.
Some part of it was attached to the agenda, and some parts that I think there's going to be some more coming
added
through.
to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay.
Should be 3 or 4, about 3 papers.
Okay. Great. We'll push that message.
Yeah. But it was just quite. It was a good piece of advice that had come through from central government, and so that way it's like, let's get it out there, and it's been put on there. So I've just got it's somewhere.
No, clear and concise. It's the first time I've heard those words used with the 3 waters. It'll be
the wording.
We didn't read it.
Oh, sorry, I meant the wording. But definitely worth a look anyway.
Righty. So then, now we're going to be moving into the public excluded part of the agenda. Do we need to do anything?
Yeah, so we'll turn it off. You just need to resolve that the public will be excluded. Just that part there.
Okay, so I'd like to move that we move into the public excluded
Yeah, so you can just say that the reasons are outlined on the agenda.
Okay, for the reasons that are outlined on the agenda.
You just need to grant a seconder.
Do I have a, well, I would like to move that we now move it into public access. So do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, councillor Maynard. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Although, the motion is carried. Okay.